what do you see? Where are we actually right now? The wave is sort of way over its course in Europe. It's
Yes.
probably already. So where is the wave going, and what should we do? What shouldn't we do?
I think we should just forget it. We don't have any problem with any infection now anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But we should watch what happens in Africa. They start having the time of the virus.
There is a chance we create our own panic in
and the rest, yes, the rest is politics. Has nothing to do with medicine.
And whole Europe is still in sort of semi-intelligent, semi-non-intelligent lockdown, social distancing. Your Bundeskanzler Angela Merkel, let's say she is sincere and tries to do the best for her country, probably.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's hard. Okay. So that is already. But even if she was, that is the only way that you can explain her taking the decisions that she is taking.
I think what they want to do, that they want to have a passport, whether you're immune or not. And if you're not, and they want to forbid things. If you're not immune, you have to show your immunity, that they allow you to do things, to go somewhere, to work something or so. This is horrible.
Yeah. So
what the pharmaceutical industry wants for 10 years already is our data, our health data. Mm-hmm. They do it with apps. They do it with, and the German health minister, he's a lobbyist for pharmaceutical industry. He has had a lobby firm. When he was my colleague in Bundestag, he was 25% of a lobby firm for pharmaceutical companies. Now he's the minister. And since 1 year, he makes one law, passes one law after the other, he brings to the parliament, and they do it, that the people have to, the doctors have to give all centralized to a central data bank, all the data of their patient, what they get, which diagnosis, which pharmaceutical products, and all the X-ray and everything is prepared. And they even prepare it for genetic testing. Such a file, a private file from each patient, and it's in a centralized data.
So very incredible.
This is what happened last year, and what they do now. He goes on that he makes an app that he knows that you can track people who will contact with whom, and they say it's because we have to fight the infection. Yeah. It's not. They want to have the data because the data is gold for the pharmaceutical industry. It's the new. That's what they say. It's the new gold. They make congresses about the new gold data, big congresses. And there's so many firms. They produce those apps, and they know what to do with and they make all this analysis.
I can see the big incentives for big corporations there to try to influence politics and decision makers.
Yes,
I cannot assess whether
you don't need lobbyists. You don't need lobbyists anymore if you have the minister who is a lobbyist.
That's pretty powerful. Yeah, I can imagine.
So if you're clever in the industry, if you're clever like Bill Gates, he goes to the chancellor. In former times, the pharmaceutical industry went to each doctor to bribe them. Then they made contracts with the health insurances. Good for them. Then they went to the health minister. And it gets cheaper and easier for them the higher they go.
They scale up. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine what you're saying. So I think it's very hard, and also for people watching to sort of to consider that. And maybe you are right, and of course that I would say at least the influence of a Bill Melinda Gates Foundation as being one foundation with such tremendous power. And even when they would be 100% sincere in their goals, then still it would be not a very smart thing to do, to give it all into one hand and one voice and one vision.
No,
but I can when you look at a lot of European governments are just generally misinformed or well-informed or scared. They are really scared. They make some decision that might turn out to be a medical disaster and people get killed again. So
I observed this when I was the head of the Committee on Health in the Council of Europe,
Yeah.
where you have 47 states in Europe. Russia was there, Turkey was there, well, not only European Union, but 47 states. And I was the head of this committee for health, on health, when the swine flu started.
Yeah.
And I recognized how all the states, the different states, reacted on this. And many of them had made contracts with the pharmaceutical companies for vaccines, for pandemic vaccines. And the contracts were secret. Mostly the parliamentarians didn't even know that their state had a contract like that. I heard it from some whistleblower as a parliamentarian from Germany. So it was no discussion in parliament about such contracts. The government made contracts, and the German government made contracts for 40 million people, with vaccines for 40 million people from two firms, from Novartis and Glaxo. And other states made with Sanofi and Baxter. And so there were many contracts like that. And all the contracts had one thing in common. And the contracts was written in case the WHO says there is a pandemic and the level 6 is reached, then those contracts will be in power. So the WHO was on the trigger for all those contracts. And when they pulled the trigger, they had the states had to, and there is one minister of health who didn't do it, who said no.
Okay.
She was a public health, she used to be a public health doctor. It was the minister of Poland.
Okay.
The minister of Poland said, no, this is a nonsense. I don't believe that there is any good in this, and this vaccine is much too dangerous. It is not. There have not been enough clinical trials, and so she said, "No, I will protect my people from this."
Wow.
She was the only one. So a health minister can do that.
So okay, so these times, maybe because I think we're coming into maybe a phase of the conversation, how to go forward from this.
Yeah.
We need Poland ministers. We need a lot of people are talking about like intelligent exit strategies, and I would like to
the Dutch people
about what is intelligence. How can we learn from this, and what do we need to do as decision makers, politicians, and
as we go, the Germans, we go to our health ministers and say, don't do this. Don't subscribe that we get some vaccination, which is only produced in a very short time, which is a very, very new method, which has not at all been sufficiently experienced. There's no experience with RNA vaccine for infectious diseases. And Bill Gates, he is crazy. He is crazy. I can't understand how someone can say this with 1.5 years giving to 7 billion people a vaccine that has not even been controlled whether there may be some cancer. You need 5 years to find out whether a cancer grows or not, at least. And if you change RNA, if you change the intracellular structures, what they produce, you hope they produce something you want, but you don't know. It is far too complicated. So this is why you need very thorough clinical studies and observe such a thing for a long time if you install such a new method of producing vaccines. It may be different with vaccines, when you produce them on eggs and you do always the same procedure, you only have to discuss about the virus you use. But now you have to discuss about the whole method and the complications that come up from the whole method. So tell your health ministers in each country of Europe, tell you, please protect us from those idiots, from those crazy people. They want to damage us. They do not want us good. It is not possible.
And do we need to, because I think in this whole Corona crisis, there is this self-fulfilling circle in media, in the general public, being scared, being the scare is being emphasized. People in charge, politicians, are also scared, probably taking the wrong decisions and being. So this is a circle that enforces each other. So we have to ask our ministers: do we have to inform them better? Do we have to protect them against maybe making the wrong decisions. What if this decision turns out in a way we will not quote unquote kill you for it, because this was the you need some kind of courage probably, but also a feeling of not trying to punish each other, but to you understand what I mean. So
Yes,
how do we build that? Where do we start, and where does the good circle start?
there, in our states, I think it's in other states too. If there is not a dictatorship where they rule with power and they have direct power, but in our states, in European states, I think the politicians are dependent on what majorities think and do, and so politicians always strive for power. This is what they have to do. This is the first motive to do something. If I do this, I will have more power. This is how politicians always have to think. It's normal.
Their incentive is power. Yeah.
And so we have to show them as a people. We have to show them with what they get power and with what they lose it. And so we have to say, if you do this with us, you will lose power. And this is very important. And when all parties do it, like in Germany, when there is no opposition anymore.
In Holland, the same. Yeah. All right. So yeah.
We have someone who is now founding a new party, Dr. Schiffman. He's founding, and he has already 100,000 followers, members of his party. This is more than the Green Party, more than the Left Party or the smaller parties in Bundestag. So maybe, I don't know whether this party will function, because the party doesn't know, the people don't know each other.
Very vulnerable, of course. Yeah.
They may be very surprised who all is in this party, but it is complicated to have the process of making a program and to shaping the face of a party is very difficult. And but nevertheless, it shows that many people they will be very critical when the next election comes, and we have to sharpen this.
Yeah, because it's even on the contrary. Sometimes I think that the people sometimes really appreciate drastic measures and a leader that takes decisions and puts measures in place, because if the feeling is these measures protect us from the danger that is out there.
Yes.
That is very so. Even I think Merkel, but also our Prime Minister Rutte, their ratings go up because they are putting the power into place.
But I think people recognize from more and more that they are cheated. There is nothing to be protected.
How did it? Because I think there is a sort of, you feel that also there is a wave going in the panic, and it is way more possible to have these kind of conversations now than say a month or one and a half month ago.
Yes.
You were marginalized as well, and
I was destroyed completely. All what I did, my whole life was gone. I was just someone with an aluminium hat, and I was just
How did you survive that? I have thick skin because of that, sort of developed.
Yes, when I do something which is wrong, and so I don't hurt anyone. There is no one interested when I do something wrong. When I say something is right, which could change something, I think then I have the impression that I was just touching the right spot, and that they were very sensitive. They were afraid. They didn't think, oh, this old man, now it's 10 years ago that he did such a thing, that he remembers this and this, he's still there. And there are not so many people who are critical. When you're in a job as a specialist in a university, and I'm very afraid of all those people who now are heads of institutes, and so they will lose their jobs. There is so much power, they won't get money anymore. And all the third-party money on our universities, and in medicine, the big money coming from pharmaceutical industry for many researches, and so the careers will stop, and it's very difficult to tell somebody that he is to make him understand that he's wrong when his salary depends on that he's not understanding.
That is, it's a saying, I think, even. It's true, I can imagine. But it didn't stop you, or because it did not stop you either when your salary still was depending on it.
I'm not dependent on such money. I'm not dependent. I have my career still going on. My students like me. And so that's all I need.
Okay, so thank you very much. We probably have to find some place to wrap this up. Is there anything that you want to tell, like, normal people besides what you just said? Pressure your health ministers, or educate yourself, or listen to certain people, or whatever.
First, don't be afraid of the virus. Then look who is the parliamentarian in your region.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know them? 50% don't know the names of their parliamentarians.
Mm-hmm.
Go there with your neighbors. Ask them, what do you do? Why do you do this? Tell us. Can you explain us? So in a democracy, the democracy functions. And when people will be very much, think of your children, they will get some dangerous vaccination. Mm-hmm. They may be damaged for their lives if you don't do this, if you don't engage, if you don't look for your parliamentarian who's responsible for all those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So people, wake up. Don't leave it to Bill Gates.
Great. Thank you very much. I will leave it with that, and I thank you very much for your time in Greece. I think even
in exile, you can say.
In exile, was it that bad that you actually stayed there or you were not allowed to fly back? Or
no, there was no plane. It's not possible. I cannot.
You cannot even. Okay.
And I have someone who needs care, and I have with a wheelchair, and so it's not so easy to go back. With a car, it would be easy, but the frontiers are all closed.
Okay. Now I can imagine. I hope you have a great place there.
I don't suffer.
Certainly be watching you, and maybe we'll reach out to you again. But it was really lovely to have you in the conversation here. Danke vielmal und schönen guten Abend. War sehr, sehr, sehr schön.
Vielen Dank für das gute Gespräch. Thank you.
Danke, Wolfgang.